One of the most overlooked aspects during an IT transformation is the impact on an organization's culture. Here are 5 things to consider when thinking through your organization's cultural shift during IT transformation. The first is define success and get buy-in from the top. Vijay, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, the first thing, we have to do is, get a buy-in from the top down, right? Which means, leadership at the executive level. That's important. Because, once we have that, we can roll that downstream to multiple layers within the organization, kind of focus on, what the businesses want, what are the businesses looking for, from a metric standpoint. Be wary about, the KPIs that are related to the business, what are the success factors. Those are the critical things. And the only way you can do it is, getting a buy-in from the leadership.
So the most successful opportunities and transformations, especially when it comes to cultural evolution and change to support that IT transformation, is when you have executive buy-in, you measure and you have aligned organizationally targets that everybody can embrace and rally around, and you over-communicate. And it's really important for people to understand not only the how, but also the why.
Second most important thing that we have to focus is you should expect and anticipate a pushback from the people, because people are used to doing things in a certain way. Now you're trying to come and kind of disrupt what they've been doing traditionally for several years. You're asking them to kind of fall in line with, hey, here's our approach. Here's where you need to up your skill set, or here's what you need to do differently on a daily basis. That's a lot of pushback you're going to get from people. The only way we can kind of, address that situation is by educating, training people, and evangelizing the significance of how this change will eventually help in their even on their career path. Forget about organizational benefits and so on and so forth. So this is very, very critical. What we have done at McKesson is we roll this out at a very macro level. With multiple business units, taking part in this agile transformation was one of that. Changing a mindset from a developer mentality to a DevOps model. So it kind of resulted in huge success for us. We started off with 6 to 8 agile teams, went to about 20 right now. And right now, I think I can probably say at McKesson, we're in a state. This pushback is no longer a factor within the organization for our overall IT transformation.
Mm-hmm. The next point is you need to have a plan for every business unit. What's your thoughts, Vijay?
Every business is different. Every business unit caters to different customers, different applications, different end users. So it is important that we understand what that business impact is, and what are the critical factors for that business to be successful. So when you are actually having those discussions with the customers and transforming their legacy applications, or replatforming or refactoring, or even lift and shift for that matter, what is that success criteria that we need to focus on? It's important. Having said that, it could be some of the business units could come to you and say, hey, quality matters to me, or the cost matters to me, right? So what are those things? Those are the factors that we need to look at. And how do we make sure, as a cloud organization, we've been able to successfully understand their business goals and transform that into reality for them?
The approach is also critical to success. Start small, fail fast. Is that how you go about things, Vijay?
I think it directly relates to our operating model, which is our deployment of agile culture. Agile is nothing but changing the mindset of the people, how they operate, how do we do things differently. In the past traditional way, people are used to doing things in a waterfall methodology, where you start somewhere, you don't know where you're going to end until you get there, and at that point you may fail, right? Whereas an agile approach, we brought this iterative, 2-week, Scrum approach, where we know what we're going for the 2 weeks, with a defined set of user stories, with a defined scope of work, what we need to do to accept that defined state. We have a definition of done to get that thing done, to get those user stories completed. And now we know, now we're taking the entire piece of work, breaking that into chunks and achieving that on a 2-week sprint basis. At the end of 12 weeks, we have a program objective that we're kind of fulfilled for the organization and for the business, which means at the end of the 12-week period, we've been able to deliver a chunk of work that is predominantly a program objective, with a lot of business value to that. So I think, throughout this journey, we were not successful right up through the gate, out of the gate, we had our failures, but we failed. But we failed within those 2 weeks, so we were able to, come back up and say, oh, now we're not going to repeat that mistake. So this gave us the ability to kind of, fail fast, but, be successful in the next one. So I think it's important, that people do go on this path and then, know that they can fail, but they can also be successful in a short period of time.
And finally, you have to find the balance between running the business while changing the business. How have you conquered that, Vijay?
As you know, McKesson is comprised of large business units, where each of these business units has a line of products that they manage. When we approached them for the cloud transformations, we had to be very careful about how we approach balancing their business against the cloud transformation. This was very critical for us. Having Rackspace as our partner, to engage and have those conversations up front with the customers, having those pre-architectural discussions with them, having those envisioning sessions with the customers along with Rackspace helped us immensely to balance, against their release cycles and help them to transform into public cloud.
So these transformations are very complex. They have cultural change aspects as well as IT process and system changes all happening at once. And you have to keep the lights on while you're figuring out how to change your culture, as well as how to be available to help with a lot of the transformational topics. And that impacts everybody. That's exactly what my team does here at Rackspace. Our professional services are available to come in and help you, your team, as much or as little as you need at any point in the journey to really help you find that balance. Because going through the changes between running the business, not having any falter in that, as well as coupled with going through a huge cultural transition, and then of course all of your IT transition. The most successful opportunities I've seen are when we have a true partnership between Rackspace and our customer.
You've been a true partner. Thank you for that.